Welcome, welcome. I am so excited for our episode today with Jillian Murphy. Jillian, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. I'm such a fan of you and everything that you do. So I'm so pumped to pour into your audience today.
Oh my God. And I was trying to think about, we've known each other for years as I was
Years.
like prepping for this. Like, I don't remember how many years, but it's been quite a few years already.
Yeah, I think it's probably been at least four. I've seen you really grow this business, be like a different person. So yeah, it's been really great to watch your journey too.
Oh my gosh, you're all in for a treat because what I love about Jillian, so we originally met kind of in the online space. She's
Mhm.
been a mentor of mine in the sales space and has helped me so much with just sales mindset and all of the things that you've helped me with. I always think of and use. And
Thank
what
you.
I love is just how authentic you always are, how real. Like when I think of you, I think of real, just how real
Oh,
you always show up and a little bit of that like tough love that we need when it comes to sales.
yeah. Thank you so much. And I always say it's like I think all of us should have these like core beliefs or core values in our business, and like realness and integrity, and also just like this activation is what I want people to feel when they are in my world. So I love that that's been reflected back because that means I'm doing the right things over there.
I know, and you were selling these adorable sweatshirts at one point,
Yeah.
and whenever I wear mine, I think of you.
Yeah, that's I actually ended up getting that tattooed on my forearm. So I
Did you?
actually have it tattooed on my forearm. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, so let's do a little intro to Jillian and then we'll jump in because I know we could talk about all the things. So, Jillian Murphy is a highly sought after sales and business mentor who has mastered the art of sales and scaling not only her own business, but has also helped hundreds of other online business owners as well. With over 20 years of business experience in sales and marketing and growing multiple businesses of her own, she has now made it her mission to help online business owners get real results. I love it all capital, real
Yeah.
results in sales and messaging. Sales is truly the oxygen of your business and the most important skill any business owner can acquire. She has been able to grow her own business from 0 to 6 figures in 1 year, hit her first six-figure month in 18 months, and just under 500,000 by year two. So amazing,
Thank
all
you.
without any fancy systems, ads, or even a website. It was
Hmm.
all done with art of communication and the art of sales. Oh, I know people are on the edge of their seats right now after I read
Thank you.
that because it's unbelievable. So I
Thank
want to
you.
do a little bit like of, beyond the bio. So we heard the
Sure.
bio, but tell us a little bit more about your background and like what got you into wanting to do this and help people with this.
Yeah, such a great question. And thank you for giving me the space to do that. So you guys, I actually went to college for law enforcement. My whole like life, I wanted to be a police officer. I went through the academy. I got 8 weeks into the academy and I was like, this is absolutely not for me. And my dad was like, okay, well, if it's not for you, you need to go get a job. So at the age of 20, I went and got a corporate internship and it was doing sales. And it was so quickly I like fell in love with what everybody was doing. I was like, these people just get to tell people all day long about things they have that are really great, and people have this problem. Like, this is like the smartest business model ever. So, I actually started my sales career when I was about 22 years old. I always give this like little plug because I think it's important. I was the first female hired at our organization since 1963.
Wow.
So I really went into this very old school bro marketing Italian based company. And I was this like hot little 21-year-old girl who had like the world by storm, right? So I didn't only come in, but I like was very different in everything that I did. And I ended up working through the company, went from entry level salesperson up to management, all those things. And by the time I left, I was managing about 217 male sales reps. I think that's a big reason why I stay so much also to like in my dominance for sure, because I've always worked with men. And then this little thing called the pandemic happened, and our company was actually bought by investors. And when our company was bought, you really just become a number. I was had no desire to ever be an entrepreneur. And I remember going into our corporate office on a Monday and they were like, hey, we're going to start making some changes. And I was like, cool. Who do I need to let go this week? Like I was fully prepared to like fire people. And they were like, no, it's unfortunately you. And I remember in that moment losing my identity, losing my company car, losing my laptop, and losing everything that I knew. But I
Yeah.
knew that I had a God given talent for sales. And I was like, I'm now going to take this to the online space, which I'm sure you and I will talk about. And that's when I pivoted to the online space about 5 years ago.
That's just, I mean, even just the, first of all, those how young you got into it, right? You're just like thrown into it. And then I love what you even say around, I would just imagine like, what was your, how did you work on your mindset and confidence piece? Because like, even sales, and this is a question I want to ask you, but like even just the word sales sometimes gives people like right the
Yeah.
heebie-jeebies. But
Yeah.
like, how did you work through that mindset and confidence piece of not only being in sales without the experience, but then starting to lead other people
Yeah.
doing it?
So I remember I lost my corporate job on a Tuesday. We had this conversation on Monday. I lost my corporate job on a Tuesday. I had called my dad, who's a very successful businessman, and I was like, I don't know what to do. And he's like, well, today you just get to cry, be in your feelings, but tomorrow you got to like pick up your bootstraps and like get back to work and figure this out. And I remember going on like I think it was like Indeed back then and looking up all these sales jobs, but I was in no way, shape, or form being going to be able to get paid what I got paid in corporate going through a pandemic. Like people were shutting their companies down. So I was like, what can I do? And I always say, I feel like I came to the online space at the absolute right time. People say like I was a unicorn when I came to the online space. I don't think it had anything to do with being a unicorn. I think it had to do with everyone was coming online. Everyone was trying to grow, and I had this one skill that everybody needed. How do I talk about my business? How do I sell my business? How do I overcome objections? So I truly believe that was a big reason why I grew so quickly. And to my favor, there's not a lot of sales coaches out there. But what I will tell you, the first thing that I did was I lost my job on a Tuesday. On that Thursday, I made my first investment for $8,000 and I hired a mentor. Under 48 hours later, I didn't have a corporate job anymore. I didn't have a paycheck coming in. I had a severance that I was going to blow through very quickly because I was a breadwinner in my family. But I knew I needed to collapse time and I needed to figure out what that was. And from that day, I had the same mentor. He's been my same mentor for 5 years. It's funny how I was so nervous to make my first investment of $8,000 and I've wired him hundreds of thousands of dollars to this point because you also grow in your own mindset as well.
I love that. I think that's the other thing is, I mean, also, being in this space, like from day one, if we're going to ask people to like invest in us for whatever skill set we have,
Yeah.
you have to be willing to make that walk and to make that investment. And that's one thing that I always see, like, you talk about that a lot online and with your business and your clients, like you're always going first and demonstrating that,
Hmm.
I think also just like the resilience that it took to turn around and be like, okay, I'm going to have my little pity party for a little while. I'm going to feel all the feels, but then like I need to take action on that.
Hmm.
So I also just like for those of you listening, I think sometimes that's tough love of just saying like sometimes you have to take that uncomfortable step, make that investment in something. And I think within reason, right? We don't want people like
Right.
going broke and doing this.
Yeah, I'm
I
not
think
here
that's
to like
also
remortgage your house or
right.
have
It's
you
like
got a credit card you can't
in the
afford. But
online
like,
space, I think it's gotten a little cuckoo
I
since
do
I've been
too.
in the space as well. But it's also that like within reason, you have to be willing to invest in those things and those people that are going to help you.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember thinking when I lost my corporate job, well, like maybe I'll open like a Subway or maybe I'll open like a coffee shop or an ice cream place. I remember thinking to myself, it's going to cost me way more to open some sort of brick and mortar with way less profit margin. So if you're listening to this podcast today, think about that. If you were to go open your own business offline, you would have contractors and buildings and permits and construction and all of these things. So you're not going to have the same profit that you're going to have online. So that's exactly what I did. And I always say, like, I'm teaching people a skill for life. So I also think that's another reason why I was so successful so quick is because like it was something that every business owner needed. If I go get my hair done or I go get Botox or I get my tire fixed, every one of those companies need what I have versus if I was selling like how to create main character energy or how to like release the chaos in your life. Like everybody needs that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. And I think even just sales. So I want to talk a little bit because, so my perspective, and I think sales get such a bad rep because, of course, like there's people out there are giving it a bad rep, but also it's our own internal dialogue around,
Yeah.
oh, I remember, when I got started, like I don't want to be salesy, or even when I worked in corporate and I
Yeah.
had to like pitch an idea or you have to sell products, services, whatever. Like I
Hmm.
don't want to be like quote unquote, I don't want to be salesy. I don't want to feel
Yeah.
salesy. And it's like I had created this like identity of what a salesperson was, and it
Yeah.
wasn't good.
Yeah.
So talk
And
to us
most
a
people
little bit
don't.
about like just that like kind of that bad connotation around being in sales.
Yeah. So I think it comes from a couple different things. Number one, I think it's how you were sold to one way, whether it was going into a car dealership or going into a high-end luxury store, right? Whatever it was, it's like what felt good to you and what felt icky. And you get to then now reframe what that looks like, right? So I remember one of the first experiences I had in sales was I was in my corporate job and I was making great money and I went into a car dealership and they did not take me serious because I was like a female. And they said like, oh, are you going to bring your husband back? Or like, is your dad going to come back? And I said to myself, I will never ever make a female feel this way again. It's why I never ask the question like, hey, does someone else need to be involved in this decision? Or like, do you need to check with somebody else? Because I remember what that felt like. And you guys all have your own stories. So think about a way that you were sold to that you don't like and make sure that you're not doing that in anything that you're doing. That's number one. Number two, maybe you came from a household or an upbringing where there was a lot of scarcity around money. Maybe you went to Target with your mom and you wanted something and she was like, hey, we don't have money from that. So you've always been around lack, right? So I don't go into anyone's business or anyone's financials thinking that I know their money story. I literally joke around all the time. I'm a huge Swiftie. I'm like, I pretend like every single person that I talk to has Taylor Swift's bank account. And that's how I go into every single thing that I do. And then let them tell me versus me being like, I don't know, maybe it's expensive and maybe they can't afford it and I don't really know. I don't tell myself any of those stories. And then the third one is you have to be sold on what you're selling. I can look at a lot of you online and even in the corporate space or the brick and mortar space, and you don't love what you're selling. You are outgrowing it or you don't love it. So how can you have conviction in what it is that you're doing versus the thing that you're doing? I have a program, it's called Infinity. I've been selling it for over 2 years. Also hear that you guys have been selling the same program for over 2 years. And I love it. I can literally go on a podcast or on a stage and say, every single one of you should be in this program. So what happens is because I'm confident, my audience is confident in me. Versus if I was just like, I don't know, I kind of have this program and like it might get you results and like, I don't know, you might like it. There's a totally different energy and air about that.
I love that. And it's so true. I mean, I've seen you, like I said, I've worked with you before and I see you talk when it is, it's like this excitement. It's this belief in what it is that you're doing. And it's obviously also backed up in the results that people get. And so that would be another thing I think sometimes, you know, you can tell when people are coming from a very like desperate, not only do they not like what they're selling, but they're like a very desperate energy.
Yeah.
And that energy matters so much. And so I so relate to that. Like when I have examples of people who I just felt like ugh about, or maybe in a story I told myself, and I was like, I don't want to be like that.
Yeah.
Instead of doing the opposite and being like, no, this is what I want to be like, and like really focus on how I wanted to be.
Yeah. And I think another thing for a lot of people to listen to, especially if you're in the online space, but your energy and your temperature shouldn't change just because people are buying. And I see this a lot. Like they really love their offer when they've had a successful launch, but then they start to doubt themselves when they're not. You guys, I've been talking on my stories about Infinity for the last 12 days of January. It's January 15th when we're recording this. I've not had a single person buy in 2026 yet. But my audience doesn't know that. Let's listen to this podcast right now. What I mean by that is like, I don't allow my conviction to change just because nobody's buying right now. I still have the same message, the same everything. It doesn't change. And my audience doesn't feel when I'm in these like flows of my own business.
Oh, that is such a good point. And also this is why I love doing podcasts because I'm like, I take this as my own like personal development too. When people
Isn't
say
the
things
best
like,
part of having a podcast?
right? Like because people say every single time I talk to someone, I take away like so many things. It's like, oh, sometimes you just need to hear the exact thing because, right, there's just like these ebbs and flows, especially when you're doing sales and people will also see that. It's like, wow, they haven't been talking about it for a while and you're consistently showing up. So I love too that there's that like transparency around that. What do you think are some of we've talked a little bit about like, what do you think some of the misconceptions are around sales or where are people like getting it wrong? Like as you're working with people in your programs, where are you like, X, red flag?
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest things that I find, and this can even be in the brick and mortar space or in the corporate space as well, you're trying to sell something to someone that doesn't know that they actually need it yet, right? So let's use, I have a client that sells, let's just use main character energy, right? So if you have someone who you're trying to sell main character energy to, she doesn't know that she needs that. She doesn't know that she's lacking it. So you need to first create content or messaging or marketing or websites or blogs or podcasts, whatever, around the thing that you solve and how someone knows they have the problem. So again, no one's searching main character energy, but what they're searching is what it feels like to not have that. So saying things in your messaging or marketing, like if you've Googled this, if you've said these phrases to yourself in the last 30 days, if you've recently bought a book on this, if you're wondering how other people do this, this is an example of why you don't have main character energy. And if you want that, this is exactly what I do. So there's like this disconnect. That's number one. Number two, one of the biggest like misconceptions I see is that your audience knows what you're talking about. They don't know half the things that you guys are talking about. They don't know that they have high cortisol. They don't know that their hormones are out of whack. They don't know that they need this different type of energy. They don't know that they're not living their best life. So you have to create things that show them, yes, I actually have this problem. I know you know Matthew Allen, right? From the online space.
Yeah.
Matthew Allen is such a great example of this. Him and I worked together one-on-one, and he was selling how to make your content better. And before he started working with me, he was getting no one reaching out because this is the thing. Everyone thought their content was good. We all think our content is good. And once he started to create problem awareness content that was like, you put out a piece of content and no one's asking to buy from you. You put out a piece of content and you're wondering why no one has shared this or saved this. Then what happens? People are like, oh, I think I have a problem with my content. I think my content's not working the way that it should because Matthew just showed me what should be happening. Now, when I need help with content, Matthew becomes the only and obvious choice to work with.
Love that. So for those of you who are listening, like pause this and go back and re-listen to that because it's gonna land for you. I mean, so I heard you say it's like you're trying to sell something that people don't know that they even need yet.
Yeah.
Like, so you need to make it like blatantly obvious to them that they need it. And
Yeah.
so I love those examples of just like being able to almost put it in their face around like, if this is happening,
Yeah.
right? And just change their thinking. Because I also think sometimes people are like that shiny object syndrome, right?
All
Well,
the
I need
time.
this, I need this, I need this, I need this. When really it's like, no,
Yeah.
actually, this is what you need.
Yeah. And I love that you talk about that too, because when I teach sales, I teach like the whole sales process. Okay. So the first part of the sales process is leads coming into your business. One of the number one things I do with my clients, and you guys, I want you to literally pause this podcast and go do it. I want you to ask yourself, who is your ideal client? Let's just use Julie for an example. Maybe Julie is selling to men who are 40 years old. Okay. And she's putting out all this great content and she's putting out masterminds for men and she's putting out webinars for men. She's doing all these things. Then I have her go look at her email list and I have her go look at her Instagram stories and I want her to see who's consuming that content. And she's like, oh, 90% of my audience are females. 90% of my audience are entrepreneurs. So a lot of people think it's their messaging that's wrong. A lot of people think it's their marketing. A lot of people think it's their offers. That's why they change their offers a million times. It's like, no, you don't have the right people walking into your store. I mean, let's use Target for an example. I use this example all the time. Target knows exactly who's walking into their door. If all of a sudden an influx of men started coming into Target, their business would drastically dip. Not because there's anything wrong with Target, it's because the wrong people are coming into the store right now.
Oh, that's such a great example. That's such a great example. And even just like you said, that transcends no matter what type of business
Any
that
business.
you're in, whether it's product, services, offerings, big company, small company,
Yeah.
like you need to have those people coming in. And so I love that reframe too, where it's like it might not be that you have the wrong thing. What you said, we say all the time, and I know I started in the beginning where it's like, don't offer this, don't offer this, but it's
Yeah.
finding the right people for that.
Yeah. People ask me all the time, they're like, how are you able to sell monthly, daily, weekly in your business? I said, because the top of the funnel is the right people coming in all day long. I'm so crystal clear of who I sell to. So then when the people are coming in, they're like, oh, this is exactly what it is. But if my stories and my email list was full of like my mastermind sisters or people that I work with in the past, it's not the offer, it's the people coming in. So make sure you follow the entire sales process.
Yeah. How have you noticed? Because I'm seeing so many people. I mean, I felt it last year, like the way that business changes, the way that people, the sales, and obviously you got to ride the waves of the ebbs and flows. But
Yep.
what are some of the things that you're really noticing about
Yeah.
how people are buying differently now?
Yeah, so I love this question. I'm like, if I could just talk about this all day long, it'd be so good. Number one is people are having massive trust issues in the online space. And I think what happens is people think it's them and their offers, but quite frankly, it's the fact that they have made a bad investment in the past. They bought something that wasn't for them. I literally had a conversation today in my DMs with someone, and she said, I wish I would have worked with you a year ago because now I've spent all of my money joining this other program. It wasn't what I wanted. And now she's more hesitant to buy from someone because she has made a bad investment. And you guys, the easiest way that you can fix this is quit selling things to people that you can't get them results on, right? If someone came into my world right now and they were like, hey, I want to build a huge email list and only sell through email, I don't sell through email. So I'd be like, hey, I'm actually not the girl for this. be so clear of what it is that you can solve for people, because this is also going to help build trust so much quicker. The days, and trust me, I was one of these people and I loved it. I could just go on my Instagram stories and put up a $3, $4, $5, $6,000 offer and people were buying. We can't just be selling high ticket anymore. We have to have trust building offers, whether this is a freebie, whether it's a podcast, right? Like you guys are all learning about me today on this podcast. Like this is a trust building episode right now for me, right? So it's like, what can you do to start to do those things? I've been hosting this free networking call for almost 4.5 years, every single Friday. Okay. You guys, I don't need to be doing free calls anymore in my business. But what I know is this is one of the biggest TBOs, trust building offers in my world. So it's like, how can I bring people in so that they can get to know me before they make an investment? So those are some of the biggest things. And then be an actual human online. I talk a lot about like, stop with the Manny chat, stop with the automatic funnels, all those things, because what you don't realize is it's actually hurting trust. I had a girl today in my DM. She sent me like a 4-minute voice memo of what was going on in her business. And I responded back, hey, I'm jumping on calls and a podcast all day. Can I respond to you at the end of the day? That builds so much more trust versus just me sending her a freebie link and getting on my calendar. So it's like, these are all things that you guys can start to do to start to clean up this thing. The last thing I want to say on this is an article that just came out in Business Insider, which literally blew my mind. If you are selling something $1 to $5,000, your audience needs 50 meaningful touches before they say yes right now in 2025 and 2026. If you have an offer over $5,000, which you guys, this is where I sit, it's 51 to 100 meaningful touches. So I have to ask myself, if Julie just started following me December 1st, has she had 100 meaningful touches from me on my content, my messaging, my marketing? Has she got to know me? And if you were talking about your offer every day, that would mean you'd have a 3.5-month sales cycle from the time someone finds you to the time that someone buys. And trust me, you guys, it did not used to always be like that.
Yeah. That is fascinating. I'm like jotting that down because that's, I've heard different stats on this before, but I see that it sounds like so much, but even in, just people that I worked with last year or my own business or other people's businesses, like it was a strange year for business in terms of people were buying differently and all this. And I could see that it's like taking longer for people to build that trust. People are more skeptical.
Way more questions.
Yeah, more questions. So, but that is just like, if you really think about that, because I also know that people can kind of get hung up. I did definitely in the beginning of my business of like feeling like I was talking about an offer or something enough. And then I went back and I was like, oh, wow, I posted about it 3 times and I'm wondering why nobody is like wanting to work with me. And so I love that tip for people of like resetting expectations of how long it takes them to, and you're like a pro at this of just like building those relationships with people. And whether it's just like, I know you always talk about like selling in the DMs, like being able to just like build that relationship through people, not even having to get on sales calls. So tell me a little bit about that kind of philosophy and how you're able to do that.
Yeah. So I think people are going to be like, okay, well, if you're trying to build more trust, isn't that weird that you're only closing people in the DM? So, our business does about $1 million a year, you guys. I say this so that you guys have like context of this. And also our offers are anywhere from like $6,000 up to like $35,000. So I'm not selling like a $97 product in the DMs, right? We're selling, which is considerably high ticket products. But the thing is the reason why it works so well is because people are busier than ever. They have more things on their plate. Kids are doing more activities. Both parents are working. And quite frankly, people don't have time to get on a call. And there's something in sales called the leaky faucet or a bursting pipe. So let me give you a quick example of this in real life terms. About 6 months ago, I went to put on a pair of jeans and all of a sudden they didn't zip. And in that moment, I was having a full crash out. Like I need to hire a trainer, do all these things. And I found this guy online and I messaged him. He was like, I help women over 40 fit back into their jeans. Great marketing. And I literally messaged this guy and I was like, I think I need to work with you. And he was like, cool. Can you fill out an application? And I was like, no, I don't want to fill out I literally wanted to give this guy my credit card today. And he was like, okay, fill out an application. So then I fill out the application. Then a few days go by and I get a text to watch this YouTube video of what it looks like to work in his world. Then like 3 days later, it's like, hey, are you ready to schedule a call with Jordan? The thing is, guys, by that time, I'd already hired someone else. I decided I was going to go in on GLP-1. And quite frankly, I pooped and my stomach got a little flatter. So I was out of my bursting pipe moment, and now I'm just
Yeah.
kind of back into like my leaky faucet. So you want to get people when they're in the moment of like, I don't know how to get on stage. I don't know how to master my mindset. My
Mm-hmm.
husband's about to leave. I can't stand my kids. Like in that moment, and then you're able to have that conversation right there and then before they move back into their leaky faucet. And maybe their kids need braces, or their husband buys golf clubs, or they decide that Christmas is coming up. It's like you need to get them in the bursting pipe moment, because if you had a bursting pipe in your house right now, you would find a solution immediately.
I mean, can we like we're hitting me in the feels here, Jillian, because I don't know
Yeah.
if you knew this, but I had pipes burst in my house
I did
last
not
year.
know this.
Part of my life experiences last year. So it's so funny because as you're I'm like, yep, we had pipes burst in our second floor bathroom and flood
Oh
our
my gosh.
entire house. So I'm like, yeah, that's like an immediate fix. It's like
It's
I need
immediate.
someone right now. I don't want to fill out an application and research and like I just need someone to
No.
come in and fix it. That is
Yeah.
such a good example because I think sometimes we're taught in sales like it's almost like this art form, right? Because you want to take the time to build the relationships. And so I think people have the best intentions and they want to get the right people in their world to be like,
Yeah.
okay, fill out the application, do all that. But also what you're saying is actually detracting from people who are like ready to buy now. Like they see you, your messaging was aligned, and now all of a
Mhm.
sudden they're like, well, actually, I don't want to work with you. You take me too long.
Yeah, yeah, it's exactly it. I had a girl that reached out to me today. She listened to the podcast. I dropped a really raw podcast on Monday, and she reached out to me today. She was like, "Hey, I just listened to your podcast. One of my friends sent it to me. What does it look like to work with you one on one?" I don't know what's happening in her business yet, 'cause I told her I'd answer it by the end of today. But what I know is today she's in some sort of mindset that she wants to work with me. If I was like,
Mhm.
"Hey, cool. How about next Monday we get on a call?" Someone else's content might land with her. She might listen to another podcast, or she might decide that she wants mindset training instead of sales training.
Mhm. I love that. That's such good messaging. So you've been able to, do all of these different things, help people with all the sales. Like if you could shake someone right now, like if you're like someone in front of you right now who's talking about like not having sales in their business or whatever, if you could just like shake them and tell them one
Yeah.
thing, what would you tell them?
Yeah, so I love this question so much, and I will probably take this and make this an audio clip on my Instagram as well.
Yeah.
What I think I would love to shake entrepreneurs with, especially, is that you are learning and you are investing every dollar that you have in everything that doesn't make money in your business. So, what I mean by this is most people are doing everything before they learn sales, but sales is the thing that brings in money that then allows you to do the other things, right? When you know that you have clients consistently coming in, you can hire a team member. When you know what your cash flow looks like and what your ascension model is, you can maybe make that investment into a speaker coach or whatever it is, right? Like you can start to do those things, but so many people are buying like the wrong pieces of the puzzle and then wondering why they're not making sales. It's like, I did this training on Monday, this sales plan training on Monday, and I said, hey, there's 41 of you guys on this call right now. How many of you guys hit your sales goal for 2025? One person said yes. And then I said to them, how many of you guys followed a sales plan or a repeatable sales process in 2025? One person, the same person that hit her goal. So it's like, it's not all the other things. It's like you're not learning sales, and sales takes time to master. You guys, I've been doing this for 25 years. I still hire sales coaches. I still go to sales trainings. I still read sales books because it's such a skill to master.
Why do you like my first question when I hear that, and it's so true. I mean, I see that. Why do you think that is? Why do you think people are going to all of the other things instead of getting to the root of needing the foundation of sales first?
Yeah, so I think number one, if we're just being candid and raw, is because people are really great marketers in the online space. And it's exactly what you said earlier in the podcast is we have shiny object syndrome, right? So we think we need all these other things because somebody told us that, or somebody is sharing their wins on that, or someone has a free masterclass. Like that's the thing. And I have been so careful to really consume content. Even in my own mastermind that I've been in for 5 years, I'm laser focused on what I'm doing because it's very easy to be like, oh, well, maybe I want to create a membership. Maybe I want to do this with my podcast. Maybe I want to do this, right? Like all of those things. And if you can just get laser focused on what it is that you want, everything else you'll be like, oh, I don't actually need that right now. But the thing is, I don't think enough people are actually talking about sales. And I also think, to answer your question kind of in a roundabout way, a lot of people think sales is just the end. So they think that they hire me when they can't close sales calls. They think they hire me when they can't close on a webinar. But really, I start with the beginning. How are people becoming aware of you? What does your visibility look like? How do you have leads coming into your business? Is your messaging and marketing attracting the right buyer? What are your offers? How do you get people results and how to retain them? So most people are coming to me at the end. And quite frankly, I always say, like, I feel like I should charge like a cleanup fee because I got to go back and clean up all this other
I
things that
love
they've done
that.
prior to me. I know I did a joke about that recently. I was like, if you have messaged me about working with me and you haven't, and you hired someone else and now you're coming back, I'm literally charging you a cleanup fee to like clean up all your shit, kind of like tax providers do.
Yeah.
Because it really is. It's like, it's the whole thing that I work with, not just the end.
Mhm. That is such, and that's so true. And I think also, like I'm thinking back, like I feel like I knew when I started my business that like sales was like I felt really confident in the skills that I had, but didn't have a background in sales. I didn't have a background in business development,
Yeah.
any of that type of stuff. So it's like I knew right away it's like I need help with that.
Yeah.
And it was uncomfortable. And I even remember like we worked together in a couple different capacities
Yeah.
and like we had I think we were using Voxer at the
Yeah.
time.
I
Like
still
we've
use
done like
Voxer. My clients are
we've
still
done
Voxer
live calls,
clients.
we've done Voxer calls, and I remember sometimes just like some of the things that you would say and the way that you would, have me like rephrase things or just stuff like that, where it was like, yeah, I think a big reason that people maybe do the shiny object syndrome is because they're scared of the sales part. Like
Yeah.
they're a little bit scared of it, but what they're realizing is like or what you have to realize is if you don't do the sales, then you can't do any of the other things.
Yeah, and sales is the thing that allows you again to do those other things, right? It's like I look at all these big influencers that are like sharing. I call it like the lifestyle influencers. Well, you guys, the reason they have these lifestyle results is because they've been able to sell whatever it is that is. They've been able to build a personal brand. They've been able to build awareness and influence in the online space. That comes even if you don't have something that you're selling right now. You're still selling yourself as a personal brand. I always joke like my audience would buy trash bags from me because I have literally shown up and built a personal brand besides just teaching them how to sell.
I love that. And I know, for those of you listening who are like, I'm not selling a product or service or things like that, think about just like what Jillian just said, like you're selling yourself. Like if you're
Yeah.
sitting in a room and you're trying to influence people on a decision, or if you're trying to, get them to get like bought into something, like
Yeah.
you are selling. You're
Yeah.
selling an intangible thing, which could be even harder, like the idea. And so all of those things still apply. Like you need to build relationship, you need to
Yeah.
have the communication. And so even just that word. So I'm also curious because people are saying like, wow, you've been so successful. You have all those things. And I always just like pivoting a little bit. I always just love to hear what are you excited about for this year? Like what kind of things excite you this year?
Yeah. Before I answer that question, I want to go back really quick and just say one more thing. It's also a lot easier, you guys, to sell someone else's product or easier to sell a product than it is to sell yourself. So I was in corporate for 25 years. I worked for some of the largest brands out there, Stouffer's, Miller Lite, Gatorade, right? It was very easy for me to sell. When I came to the online space and I was selling me as an actual human, that's a very different conversation because we take it personal. I'll give you guys a very quick little story. I sell every single day on my stories. We're nervous about it. I have had a crush on this boy at the gym literally for a year. And I told myself today, I'm literally going to walk up to him and say something. I am so fearful because you guys, it's very different selling yourself versus being like, hey, let me go on my stories and sell this product. So remember, like you have to be detached from the outcome. And those are all the things that you do with sales. And I think a lot of people like we take it so personally.
Yeah.
Like, what if someone doesn't buy from me? What if they don't like me? What if my price is too high? What if he tells me he's married today at the gym, right? Like whatever it is, but you
Mhm.
have to like build up that confidence. And even someone like me who's been selling for 25 years, I still get fear when I have to sell myself.
I want to comment on that before you answer the next question, what you're excited about then, because I'm so glad that you said that detached from the outcome. Like
Mhm.
I say that to myself, but like I'm so happy to just like hear that again. And for people
Yeah.
that just like really need to hear that because and it goes back to something you said earlier too, where we can you love what you do if you're selling something that you love, but also at the same time, you're like, I need to have like money. You need to have money coming and all, so you can get so attached to the outcome. And
Yes.
again, then you're coming from the wrong energy, and your day is like dictated on whether someone just paid you or not. Like if they
Yeah.
say yes or not, and then your ebbs and flows all the time. So
Yeah.
what I love is just that reminder of like you can be detached from the outcome and come at it more from like kind of that like neutral position,
Yep.
then your day is also not like up and down all the time, but also you're going to come from the right space.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I guess for me, when things have fallen through, I've tried to like say to myself, well, this or something better.
Mhm.
And obviously that thing wasn't for me at that point.
Yeah, and I think something that I tell myself every single day, you guys, and you guys can use this as well. You have people that are going to buy from you this year that you have not even met yet. So
Hmm.
let's use this girl today who reached out to me that said, "Hey, I didn't really know much about you. One of my friends shared your podcast with me. It really resonated. I'd love to work with you." Yesterday, if I would have been looking at my leads board, I would have been like, there's not even anyone in my world right now. Because there are people right now that you haven't even impacted. There's people who had no idea who I was before I got on this podcast today. There's people that don't know Julie yet. There's corporations that don't know her yet. So if you just keep reminding yourself, people are going to buy from me this year that I have not even met yet.
Oh, I love that.
I
Yeah,
love
because
that.
if you're sitting
This
there
always
already,
makes me feel better too.
yeah, if you're sitting there already going like, I have nobody, it's also put you in the tunnel vision of like, then that's all you're seeing.
Yeah. And again, I'll also tell you guys this too. There's a lot of people that are watching you and lurking that you have no idea about. The
Yeah.
amount of people that say to me, "Hey, I've been following you for years." And then I look at our Instagram conversation and like we've never talked to each other. They've never commented on a single thing. They've been reading all of my emails, right? Like there are people watching you right now. And this is why it's also so important to keep showing up consistently with the same message, because let's just take someone that's been following me for years. If I would have changed my offer 27 times since then or changed my messaging or marketing, she would not still be here. But now when she needs sales, it's like, oh, Jillian Murphy's the only and obvious choice.
Yeah, and becoming, I think, oh, that's the other thing. Like, oh, we have so many things. That's
I
the
love
other
it.
thing. When I think of you, I think of sales. And like
Yes.
you've made it so crystal clear.
Yeah.
And that was a big thing too that I learned from you when I was, I have kind of multiple pillars of my business, but when I was
Yeah.
really trying to market one specific thing on Instagram,
Mhm.
especially, I like really went into that so that when people think of me, they thought of that thing. And
Yeah.
so you built such a space of like when people think of you, what are they thinking of so that they know how to refer you and they
Yeah.
know that when they need that thing that like when they need sales, they're going to Jillian.
Yeah, you guys, I don't speak on very many stages. Number one, I don't necessarily enjoy like big keynote speeches, but I literally just shared this today on my Instagram. So like when the podcast gonna come on, it's gonna be different. But I'll share a quick story. I had someone reach out to me yesterday. She's never worked with me. She's never bought from me. And she said, "Hey, I have an event coming up. I'd love for you to speak at it. If you could talk on leads in the sales process, I'll pay for your flight, your travel, and then give you this amount." That was an example of she was probably building out her speakers and she thought, "Hey, we have a spot for sales. Who do I want?" Even though we've never talked, either I was referred to her or she'd already been following me. So again, because my message has been so clear, so concise, but most importantly, so consistent,
Yeah.
then people reach out when they're ready.
I love that. Oh, so many good tips. Okay, so
Thank
now
you.
that we are like talking about all the
Yeah.
things, what are you excited about this year?
Yeah, well, number one, I'm really excited about some new energy in my business. I've worked with the best mentor for the last 5 years, and it's been absolutely incredible. But after 5 years, I was like, it's time for a little breakup and shakeup. So I'm changing things around, and I'm actually, for the first time ever that I can remember, have a female working for a female, right? So I worked for all men in corporate. I've only had two mentors in the online space. They've both been men. My entire team is made up of men. So I'm really excited about having just like a female come in and just have like a little bit of a different perspective on things. I'm making a really big move this year. I'm moving from Scottsdale, Arizona, back to South Carolina to be closer to my daughter. So I'm excited about that. And I'm also really excited about being quiet this year to see what I actually want. I think a lot of us in the online space talk about this a lot on my podcast recently. A lot of us in the online space are chasing someone else's dream. They're chasing someone else's dollar amount. And you guys, I was in a mastermind where even as a 7-figure business owner, I had the littlest business in there. So I was chasing huge numbers, huge teams, all of these things. And when I got really quiet, I was like, number one, I don't need that much money and I don't want that much money and I don't want to run a business like that. So I'm really being able to be really quiet this year and clear of what it is I want my business and life to look like this year.
Oh, I love that. I'm so excited for you. I know we were talking a little bit before we hit record, so I already got like the little bit of the inside
Yeah,
scoop on some of these things. But I just want to say I'm so excited for you for all of
thank
that, like
you.
that new energy, that new environment. And that was such a great tip too. And that's definitely something that I'm working on this year too. And just like I think a lot of people, it's like, how can I get quiet and reset what I really want?
Hmm.
And finding like the career, the business, the thing for me. And
Yeah.
so tell people to like, tell us a little bit about your podcast so they can go check out your podcast.
Yeah, so it's called Scale Your Sales. We drop 2 to 3 episodes per week. They're short, 18 to 22 minutes. We've had incredible guests on there. I know Julie's about to come on the podcast, which I'm super excited about. Let's go. I'm super excited about it, but it's very tangible, real talk, straight to the point types of things. But you guys, we talk about all topics. We talk about GLP-1s, hormones, sales, motherhood, business, sex. Like we talk about everything, even though it's a sales podcast. So go over and check it out. It's on all the platforms. Again, Scale Your Sales. We also have an incredible freebie. It's just dmstarters.com. Go over, check it out. It gets you into our world of what it looks like to sell without ever getting on sales calls, regardless of your price point. And then obviously come over to Instagram and say hello. That's my main platform of choice. And I love being on Instagram.
Amazing. We'll make sure we drop all of those things in the show notes as well.
Thank
So you
you.
can go check those out. Check out the podcast. Definitely check any freebie thing from Jillian is going to be high value. So
Thank
definitely
you.
go check that out. Connect with her. And thank you so much for joining
Yeah.
me on the podcast. This is like, I've been wanting you on, so I'm so grateful. And I know everybody listening is walking away with so many great tips. So thank you for being a mentor for me and then sharing all of your knowledge with everyone here.
Absolutely. It's been so great to watch you. Like I definitely consider you a friend at this point, and I'm just really grateful for everything that we've been through together, and a great job on the podcast today.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, everyone, go crush your sales.
Let's go.